So, welcome back to my studio. Today, we're going to do a Valentine's Day card. And the paper that I'm using, I think it's made by a company called Recollections. It's like a scrapbooking company. These come with envelopes. And I think these measure, I want to say 4 1/4 by 5. Let's see, I've got the pack right here. And they're 4 inches by 5 1/2. And this is what the pack looks like. And they come with the envelopes. And it's just like lightweight cardstock. So if you have some cardstock, all you need to do is cut it to the size you want and fold it in half. These are not huge, which makes it nice because you can create a card pretty quick. So today, what we're going to do is a card that I actually did for Christmas, and I posted like a little short video and asked if anybody would be interested in a longer process video. So um, that's what I'm going to do today, but I'm going to change it up a little bit and make it more fitting for Valentine's Day. And that's the nice thing about doing these types of cards is you can make them specific to whatever holiday it is. I've got a couple micron pens. I have a 005 and a 003, and these are black. Um, if you want to sketch out your branch, you can do that. And I'm just going to give myself like a general direction here. And this looks like it's a little smudge up there. And you can also look at a reference if that helps. We're going to keep this whole thing a little bit on the sketchy side, because we'll be doing this in pen. And I don't even know if you can see those lines, but I'm going to start out with my 005. And the first thing I'm going to do is just lightly sketch in this branch. And I'm not holding the pen like this. I'm going to hold it back here on its side so that I can keep the lines relatively light, so that if I make a mistake or um, I haven't like fully committed to some of these lines. Okay, something like that. And we can always go back in and add a few more details to the branch also. So the next thing I want to do is I want to find the placement for the hearts that I want to put in here. And I want to have like a central heart that's going to be the biggest. And I thought it would be fun to keep all of these hearts um, more on the like nature themed kind of thing. So this heart is going to be like a wreath made out of, let's say, grapevines. So it's going to have a lot of lines, and I'm going to make these crisscross right here, so that it reads a little bit more like a wreath. And then that will be hanging. And I want to add in a couple of other hearts. And I want to do one that is made out of like twigs. So I'm going to give myself a heart shape first so that I know how to draw in the pieces of wood. And I don't think I want it that big. So I'll make it a little bit smaller. Something like that. And then I want this to be made up of, like I said, like twigs. So we're going to do pieces of wood, like little rectangles. And leave a little space in between each rectangle. And then we can make the string, go through the whole thing. And then the last one that I want to add, I want to make it look like a suet cake, like bird seeds. So I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter and smaller. And then we can add in, you know, like some little seed shapes or pieces of corn. And we can do all that with the pen. But I do want to indicate where that's tied and then where it's wrapped around the tree here also. Same thing with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my text, and I'm just going to grab my ruler and give myself a little bit of a guide here. I think that's pretty straight. I think I'm going to print the word heart. And I think I also want to add just a couple of little hearts hanging down that are really small. Maybe one here. Okay. So now we're going to ink the rest of this, and then we'll add a little bit of a watercolor wash, and that will finish it up. I am going to add, I think, a little bit of metallic to these smaller hearts, just because I have the metallic paint and I love using it. So I'm going to go ahead and you can watch me as I go through and ink the rest of this. Okay, now that I have this inked, I'm going to give this a second to dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and start lifting out some of this graphite in here, and then we'll add a little bit of color with some watercolor. And if you don't have watercolor or you don't want to add anything, you can just leave it like this. And I think if you added maybe little pops of color with the hearts, with colored pencil, or maybe a marker or something, it would have just as much impact and it would look just as nice. I'm going to finish mine off with a little bit of a wash on some of these things. And of course, I'm going to add in a little bit of metallic because I like it so much. So, um, let's see if we can go ahead and start erasing some of this. The last card that I did, I erased too soon and it picked up some of the ink and transferred it onto different parts of the card. So we don't want that. Actually, I'm going to hit this with the dryer just to make sure it's totally. Okay, before I get my watercolor out, I'm going to add a little bit of texture to this wood, to these twigs. And maybe a little bit of um, thickness to the ends here. Okay, so I just sprayed my paint and I'll be using a size 0 brush. This is the Silver Black Velvet, the watercolor brushes. And I've got my water over here. And I'm going to start by adding in some brown for the tree branch. And this is, line and wash. This is just really pretty basic and not overly detailed. We added most of the detail with our pen. So this I'm just going to give a little bit of color. This is not watercolor paper, so I don't want to go in here and be really like heavy-handed. Um, the most that I'll do is probably add just another layer on this branch to indicate that the bottom is is darker. And I'll try to get that in there while this is still wet. And if you don't stay in the lines, it's really not a big deal. This is a really illustrative type of card. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So for this little bird up here, I think I'm going to make him a chickadee. And I'm going to mix a little bit of my Payne's blue-gray into my burnt umber here. And I'm going to give him this little black cap. like that. And then he's got some black on his throat. I just dried off my brush and I'm just kind of feathering out that edge. And then I'm going to add a couple little dollops of paint there for his tail. So for this heart over here, I'm going to start off with a layer of yellow ochre. I want this to look like a suet cake. And that's why I went ahead and just added in the sunflower seeds with my black pen. And I have some burnt umber laid out here, so I might just drop a little bit of that in. Like that. And I'll let that dry, and then I'll come back and we'll add in some different colored seeds or something. Now for this wreath, I'm going to pick up some more brown, and I am just going to lightly go over the wreath. And I think because this is a dried wreath, I'm going to put in, I think the grass and stuff that I want to put in, I don't want to use a really vibrant green because I don't think it would look quite right. So maybe these are all like dried grasses. And we can use maybe some yellows. And maybe a little bit of a duller kind of a green. I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna mix in a little bit of red into my green to mute it, so it leans a little bit more towards a brown. And these are so small. That not getting it exact is, like I said, not a big deal. Okay, so for this, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of a grayed out brown. Just so that we've got a little bit of variation in here and it's not just all brown. Okay. I am going to go back in and pick up, I have this Aussie gold, and I'm going to add some of that in here. Like some of these seeds. Okay. Maybe we can use some of that gold in this wreath too, just to kind of pull everything together a little bit. There, I think that's good. And I'm going to darken up the chickadee's cap here. And a little bit here. And the last thing I want to do is I want to pull out some of these paints that I have, these metallic paints by Lisalinka. And I have another video where I did, I swatched out all of these colors and made bookmarks. So if you're interested in seeing how these paints perform, I would definitely check out that video. So it comes with this cool little water dropper that you can activate the colors that you want to use. And maybe this gold, maybe this green, I don't know, and a red. Okay, I'm really not sure which colors I'm going to use for what, but I do see some more pencil marks I'm going to get rid of while that is activating. I think for the hearts down here, I'm going to use the red. I don't think that's quite ready yet. Let's see. Okay. And then for the hearts that are hanging off the tree, I'm going to use the gold. So I think that's pretty much it. And I love the little metallic accents. It adds just a little special touch to it. These went pretty quick, and I think they're fairly easy to do. And if you want to switch them out for whatever holiday you want to give a card for, that's easy enough. You can just make all of these Christmas themed and kind of go from there. So I hope you had fun, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.